Okay, I'd like to call the regular board meeting of January 28, 2015 to order at 7 p.m. Would you call the roll, please?
Mary Ann Desecki.
Here.
Allison Downs.
Here.
Tina Wanio here. Rich Flanagan.
Here.
Pat Gadaszewski.
Here.
John Kowalski.
Here.
Dave Satura is absent. Also in attendance is Dr. Kim Borszewski, Mrs. Kathy Brandt, Mr. Eric Humbles, Mr. Mike Deeney, Miss Melissa Kartzimis, Miss Constance Savro, Dr. Kristen Kopta, Mrs. Donna Maglioli, Mr. Brian Amsler, Miss Louise Stomper, and Darcy Correa from Francis Radilick. Oh,
Donna's in class.
Oh, I saw her. No. Never mind.
Okay, we have a quorum, so could we rise and pledge the flag, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education establish the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll move.
Mary Ann? I'll second.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gadaszewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Desecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Owanio, yes.
Okay, and then at this point, are we asking, do we ask if there's anything that needs to be, that people would like removed, or do we just move on?
No, we'll just move on. If
Okay.
somebody wanted to remove it, just had to say it before
Okay.
we took the roll.
All right, then I'd like to entertain a motion. The Board of Education approve the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
And Rich?
Okay. Flanagan.
Yes.
Gadaszewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Desecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Owanio, yes.
Okay, all that passes. And now we have public participation. We have one, I believe, from Mrs. Cafaro. Question or topic is representation X old business A.2.
Sure, you're welcome.
Name and address, please.
My name is Diana Cafaro. I wanted today to talk about the letter that was on there, but I'm going to hold off on that. I did bring with me copies of my letter to the board addressing that, so if anybody in the audience would like to see a copy of it, they're available. Instead, I want to tell a story. It's a true story about Schiller Park right here. It starts with once upon a time, Roy McCampbell was our school board president. At that time, we had a man called Dr. Drew Starziak, who was the superintendent. Dr. Drew Starziak had an ex-wife, Julie Starziak, who was working for Al Ronan of Ronan Potts. They got indicted in a McCormick scandal. He was cleared of charges. She was convicted. They had a daughter named Heather. Heather married an alderman from Chicago, Mr. Colarts. Mr. Colarts had an engineering company. He got indicted and convicted of illegally obtaining money from a land deal from the tollway. Starziak donated money to our mayor's campaign. Her first order of business was hiring the engineering firm that Starziak then owned. As far as I know, Schiller Park still has Christian Rogue as their engineering firm. A few months ago, Molly Catero gave a presentation here. Wonderful presentation, heartwarming, bittersweet, students playing guitar. It was my understanding that one of the reasons she was able to have this presentation was because she got a grant from Little Kids Rock. Wonderful, wonderful organization. You probably remember that was the night you accepted her resignation.
Yeah.
Bittersweet moment. I looked at more campaign contributions, and I saw a Kids Rock, Loretta Perez, Chicago Heights, donating, again, a couple $1,000s to our Village of Schiller Park, or our mayor's campaign. And I was very concerned because I know Little Kids Rock organization, and this Kids Rock, Loretta Perez, from Chicago Heights, had nothing to do with Little Kids Rock. And then I find that the mayor of Chicago Heights has an auditing company that is now Schiller Park's auditing company. Some people would say this is like pay to play or whatever. It's just in my brain runs around, and it's not right. It's not a right way to have government. Which brings me back to the letter. I wrote a response to the letter because I feel that it's not a matter of we've sat here for 2 meetings and tried to get some questions about the letter. And for me, answers to what was written in that letter is not the important issue. The important issue is that the letter was written. Individuals that are supposed to represent us took individual action on their own. This is a violation of how democracy and government is supposed to work. And I would anticipate that the school board, knowing all of this, would take action against these actions.
Thank you. Is that it? We have no others?
Yes, that's all for
Okay.
public participation.
I do have something
Okay.
I wanted to discuss.
Allison?
Yes. I had sent Kim an email asking about our iPads. And she had sent it out for everybody to respond if you're using the iPad. The only person that responded is Tina. Okay.
Rich responded.
I responded too.
And I think Mary Ann
Okay.
responded too.
I didn't hear we didn't hear anything from John or Pat. My concern is we got iPads. The purpose was to go paperless. It seems every meeting we come to that you don't use your iPads. We're still delivering paper packets to your house, which is probably about 500 pieces of paper a meeting. My question is, well, I have a couple. First of all, why aren't you using the school issue iPad for the meetings? Pat?
Oh, me?
Yeah, I'm looking right at you, yes.
Okay. Well, I don't like using the iPad for the meetings. I like paper.
Okay. And John, what's with your?
Same thing, I'd rather have the paper.
Okay. My next question is, where is your iPad?
Right here. You want it back?
That was gonna be my suggestion.
Okay.
Pat, do you never
have it
use
back.
yours?
No, I wouldn't say never. I probably don't have the skills to use it as well as you guys do, but
Okay.
I'm developing them.
Okay, my issue is, if you're not using this, it should be returned to the school. It's a
Yes.
waste of a resource to be sitting at your house and you're not using it. And we're delivering paper packets to you. So yes, Jen, if you have it and you're not going to use it, turn it back to the school and they can hand it over to somebody who will use it,
Okay?
okay? And
Thanks.
does Dave, I don't know about Dave, we'll have
Well,
to-
he's not here, so why
Right,
don't we
we'll
let
wait
him
till he's
respond
here.
himself?
Okay, thank you, that was my question.
Sure. All right, now we have principal reports and the enrollment.
Does anybody have any questions?
No. Examples of excellence, update on District 81 goals.
We just have a quick presentation.
Okay? So are we going to project it here? So we should move?
No, project it over there.
should be able to see it anyway, unless you
No.
don't want to look straight up. You know, it's-
So I'm gonna provide an update as to where we are with the board goals. The board didn't, create new goals, so you'll notice these are the same goals that we had last year, but we still made some incredible progress. And I thought it was important to share that information with the community. So Eric, you can just go ahead and move us through it. The board's focus areas, that they created were teamwork, communication, student achievement, and parental involvement. You remember I presented on this last year at this time, so you'll see some changes and some similarities on where the district is in these key areas.
Kim, Eric and I are trying something new this week. We're actually hooking the microphones directly into the camera, and since we're filming this for the whole town, yes, exactly. Thank you.
He knows how much I didn't want to do this, but
Yeah.
thanks for calling me out, Board Member Flanagan. So as far as teamwork, the board has done some great work in the area of teamwork. They really do outstanding work in committee. They've accomplished great things with their committee work. We have the first ever finance committee. We have the first ever policy committee, facilities committee. Some things that they've done in committee is they work diligently with administrators and community members and each other in committee meetings. Finance committee worked hard on preparing and vetting the budget, the tax levy, and made recommendations to the board. The policy committee regularly vets press updates, and we're going through the policy manual one section at a time to make sure that that policy is being followed with integrity, and when it's not, making the necessary changes that we need to make. Facilities committee is fairly new, and that committee is getting ready to launch off some good work too. We are working under the direction of our architects and our CSBO to create a 5-year and 10-year facilities maintenance project, and our architect is getting ready to make a recommendation to us on how well we're using our facilities as far as space, so a space utilization survey. How many kids do we have in our buildings? Are we using our space effectively, and that sort of a thing. The committee, most of the board attended the III conference and did some meaningful learning there. We have several board members that have achieved master board member status, and we also have several board members who are in the Leadership Academy and have achieved leadership status. So that is something to be proud of, and as I said, the board has done good work in their committees. Another area of board focus was communication. It was important to this board to get our story out and be transparent. That was one of their big things that we discussed in the first retreat that we had. We celebrated an award-winning website this year. We celebrated an award-winning superintendent's blog. Kathy Brandt regularly gets board highlights out after board meetings to make sure that we're being transparent to our community about the decisions the board is taking here. She also does regular and timely press releases to the community. We're on Twitter. We've got a decent number of followers on Twitter, thanks to Tech Director Humbles. He consistently updates our dashboard, which was new last year. That was something new the board implemented. And we did host a community engagement forum where our curriculum facilitators provided information on the MAP assessment. Wasn't well attended, but we hosted it. This is just some data on the hits we're getting to our website. You could push through, Eric. These are notify me, how many are opened, how many followers we have. And here's our Twitter data, which Eric's real proud of. Student achievement has always been a focus of this board. Maintaining, a rigorous instructional program is important. We do implement the MAP assessment 3 times a year. We give it to our students in fall, winter, and spring. And all of our students take the MAP in grades 2 through 8. MAP for primary grades was administered this year for the first time to our kindergarten and first grade students. If Mrs. Maglione was here, she could share some funny stories of first graders taking the primary MAP assessment. It's important to remember that this is just it's a data point in time, and it gives us good information about where our students are and how to meet their instructional needs, and that's really how it's used. In the fall of each year, and then again in the winter, the students are given a growth projection after the fall test that gives us an estimate of where they should land in the winter on that assessment. And recently they just finished their winter assessments. As I've shared with you in the past, NWEA approximately sees 50 to 60% of students across the nation meeting those growth projections. You can go back. We recently looked at our winter map data, and we're very, very pleased. We had over 60% of our students meet their winter projections in both reading and math, so that's cause for celebration. We made some pie charts for you to just take a look at where they're landing. So I'm going to quickly move through these. These are our second graders. So you'll see the blue on the top of the pie chart. The blue is students who made growth. Green is kids who stayed the same. And then the yellow is reporting to the students whose growth decreased. And then we saw a significant number of our second graders meet their winter target, which is something to celebrate, with 68% of them meeting in reading and 67% of them meeting in math. Again, NWEA generally sees 50 to 60% of students across the nation meeting those growth projections. And you can see that our second graders are exceeding that. These pie charts are going to be similar for all grades. I'm not going to read them to you. I mean, you can see where we're landing. This is third grade. Here we are with our fourth graders, again, exceeding the 50 to 60% in reading and math for meeting their winter targets. That's fifth. Sixth graders rock the house. Seventh graders. And these are our eighth graders. Now, we celebrate the kids that met their target rate, and we look hard at the kids in the green. You know, why didn't they? And what do we need to be doing differently? So that's just, again, it's a conversation, and this is information that drives our instructional decisions. It's a tool. It's a teaching tool. That's what this is. Here's where our kids landed with Explore. I think we may have shared this with you. I think Tina may have shared this with you in October. And again, we saw 22% of our students in English, 36% in math, and 25% in science landing in the honors at Leiden. These are our freshmen this year. 59% of them in English were in regular, 40% in math, 53% in science, and around 20% in each subject area landed in academy. So we continue to talk about how we can improve our achievement and make sure that we're providing the rigor necessary. We continue to focus on best practice ELL strategies. The board adopted a policy to encourage our teachers to go back to school and obtain their ELL and bilingual endorsements. It's important to note that this tuition reimbursement incentive is fully paid for with Title II grant dollars. There's no local money that covers the cost of these teachers going back and getting these endorsements that help meet the needs of our unique population. We have 57 teachers with their ELL and bilingual endorsements in District 81, and 17 more teachers currently enrolled. And we have an administrator, Mrs. Maglione, who's currently working on obtaining her bilingual endorsement. Our SMART goals are always focused on student achievement, and we use the MAP assessment because we think that's the most reliable tool to provide us data and then inform our instruction. This year we implemented a MyOn teaching tool, which the kids seem to be really having a good time with and the teachers are enjoying. We had NWEA out to provide us professional development, a refresher course. When the staff developer left, she looked at me and said, "You don't need me. These are some high-level MAP users. I am very impressed with these teachers, and I hope that you're going to consider having them present at the Fusion Conference in July." So teachers, that's in the works. We'll be tapping you on that. We're continuing to refine our curriculum to make sure we're aligned to the Common Core standards, which, that's just a federal mandate that we're all learning to live within, those confines that have been placed on us, and we're doing fine with that. There's no cause for alarm. The kids are doing fine. Getting back to the teachers, last Friday I got a text message from our interim director of special ed, and she said, "I think I'm in heaven." Something along those lines. And she talked about how she was at a staff development with teachers from Schiller Park. You know, she was sitting with the team, and they were so eager. And when she got there, they saved a table, and they said, "Kathy, come on over, sit over here." And they were excited about what they were learning. And she said, "I can't tell you what it's like to work in a place where people all have their eyes on kids and really want to work together. And I'm just so happy to be here." And I responded and said, "And we're just so lucky to have you. Thanks for being here." That's a nice thing. And we can't say enough about our dedicated educators. They're just incredible. Cutting edge technology. The board approved to add smart panels, update our technology in our K-5 classrooms with smart panels, so we have those in every single room. Kids are very excited. I was in a kindergarten classroom and they said, Dr. Shesky, come over here, look at our new TV." I said, "That's not a TV." And you know, I can bring 10 friends to the board, because on the Promethean board, you know, they can interact with it, but just one friend at a time. And now 4 kids can go to the board and interact at once. Not 10, but 4. 4 is more than 1, so that was exciting. You can go ahead, Eric. We're really fortunate to have such support from our parents. Our booster clubs do an outstanding job of making sure that our kids get provided with stellar experiences outside of the regular school day. There's Mr. Marioka flipping pancakes. We recently implemented BPAC, which is a Bilingual Parent Advisory Committee. That committee has met twice this year. Dr. Kapta and Mrs. Maglione are the administrators on that committee. And from that committee, we learned some great things. Our bilingual parents need more communication in their language, so we've increased our communication from school to home in our 4 main languages. As a result of that committee, we're translating our report cards this year. So we got good information from our bilingual parents about what they need from us, and we learned that, you know, how to get better to you know, meet their needs. Our parents, our PATS program meets the needs of our birth to 3 children in the district. They offer 2 great play groups a month, and also do home visits when necessary. So that's another outstanding thing that's going on as far as parental involvement. And then, of course, there's the ABC Parent Group, who just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. And we can't. Wow. And you know, when I think about the ABC Parent Group, I always think about that quote, that Margaret Mead quote. And Melissa and I talked about which quote should I use today. And that one just makes the most sense, because I think it goes something like, "Never doubt that a thoughtful, committed group of people can change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has." And your impact on our school district in just 1 year has been profound. And I remember when I was a principal and Kara had her babies in preschool, and she came and said, "We need a parent group." I said, "We do. You want to start one?" She's like, "I don't think I could start one." But it was always something she wanted to do, and it's nice to see that dream realized. And what this board has done for our kids and our teachers is something that touches us, and we appreciate more than ever. And we can't thank you enough for all that you've done. So we have cake, because we like to have cake when we celebrate people. And we have flowers, so if the ABC board could please come up, I'd like to present you with flowers, if you can do that real quick.
You want me to get them for you, Kate?
Don't you love it? I like that one. Here,
You want to switch flowers? You're welcome, thank you. We have a card here too from the Lincoln Middle School students. Okay. So that's it. We look forward to continued forward momentum with dedicated teachers, administrators, committed board members, parent groups that never let us down. Thank you for your work. Thank you for supporting us, and let's have cake. There's one more thing. Dr. Kopta was nominated, and maybe you know this or maybe you don't. But Dr. Kopta was nominated for the Stanley G. Golder Leadership Award from the Golden Apple Foundation, and we could not be more proud of her. That's a really big deal. So thank you, Kristen. Thank you for your commitment to the students of our district. Are we ready for cake?
I'm sorry, I stopped listening after the first time you said cake.
Sorry.
You want to go on with the meeting?
Yeah, we could go on.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is board business, and that would be Tina.
So a lot of what I have to say was already said. And before I start, next month I'm going to work on getting my information I'm going to talk about into the agenda, because I think that it'd probably be better for the board to be aware of what I'm going to talk about before I actually talk about it, and also give the opportunity for everybody can always add to it, so also to give the opportunity for everybody to add if you guys want to. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is I had the opportunity to walk around the schools last week, and I wanted to see the smart boards in action. So I was able to see the kids using them. Over at Washington, I was able to see the students were using them for reading, which I thought was kind of neat. The teacher was showing them how to read historical fiction and showing her how her mind works. So when she reads something so she called it closer reading. Is that what she used? Close reading. So it was I thought it was neat how the students were able to see how a teacher reads, and she was able to show everybody at the same time her thoughts and like how she draws, like, ooh, this is a bright idea. She drew a light bulb. So it was just kind of interesting. And then over at Kennedy, I was able to see them using it for many different subjects. I got to actually play a math game, which they were learning about number placement. So they rolled 3 dice, and you were able to write the number placement. The kids thought they were playing a game, but they were really learning. And then I also got to see how easy it was for the teachers to toggle back and forth, where they have their lesson plan on display, and then they could say, oh, let's sing a song about the first letter does the talking and the second letter does the walking. So she was able to toggle between her lesson plan and YouTube to play that video for the kids. So I thought that was really interesting. So I was amazed. The other thing I wanted to talk about is our bulletin board. We always have nice information on there, so I just wanted to point out some things. The 5 Essentials survey is out, and the district is looking for feedback from everybody about their children's education. So if you want to read about it, you can read about it on the bulletin board, but it's also on the front page of the website. There's also a picture of the Lincoln Middle Schools were inspired by speaker John Grossman, who came to talk to them about being true to themselves, accepting others, and bullying. The superintendent's blog also goes into more about the children's experience of that day. Resources regarding the new park assessment can be found on the district homepage under parents, and this is the new assessment system, that's replacing ISAT, so there's information on there about that. And also there's a picture of the 9 reading room teachers from Kennedy School who have been chosen to present the district's reading room instructional model at the 2015 NCLB statewide conference in Chicago the first week of February. So congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
And then on behalf of the board, I wanted to congratulate the ABC group on their 1 year. You guys have done amazing things this 1 year. I don't know how you're going to top it, but I know you guys will. So I also wanted to congratulate Dr. Kopta on her Golden Apple Leadership Award.
We all did, Kristen.
Yes, I mean on behalf of the
We all
board,
did.
not me. Sorry. And that I was pretty impressed to know that you're only the 2nd principal to get nominated for that.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
You're following in good footsteps.
And also, on behalf of the board, congratulations to Dr. Borshevsky for graduating from the Illinois School of Advanced Leadership. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Also on Monday, Pat and I, along with Louise and Gina Harris, attended the EdRed dinner, and they talked a lot about the importance of early education and gathering data and knowing what kind of students you're getting before they even come to school. So I was really impressed with Diane Rauner and hope that she really focuses on, you know, the education aspect, and she had a lot of good things to say about early childhood. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Pat?
No, well, we also attended workshops when we went there.
Right,
so.
my workshop was a little bit, they talked also about, I went to the data one, so they talked more about gathering data and how they want to try to work with the different groups to all get the same type of data, so data would be more user-friendly and have meaning.
And I attended one that was presented by a Google representative and an Apple representative, and they were talking about technology in the future of education with technology. It was very informative. But they had no technology there as part of their presentation. I thought that was a little odd.
Tina, as part of your listing the things on the bulletin board, you spoke about the school being visited by John Grossman, the speaker, and I just wanted, I actually attended that lecture, if you will, during the day. It was really very nice. I was very proud of all of our kids. And the lecture was fascinating. It was about not judging a book by its cover. It was about the hidden consequences of judging books by their cover, meaning people, of course. I'm not going to spoil anything because he presented his case, as it may be, in a most astounding manner, and it really just shocked all of the kids to the core. And if this gentleman comes back through, I don't just encourage the board, I encourage everyone in the audience to come and take a day off and come see this guy. You must. It's really a must-see thing. So that's it. Thanks.
And I can't take credit for the board. Kathy Brandt put that together for us, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, thank you. All right, now we're moving on to old business information. We have the Policy Review Committee update. Rich, did you want to speak to that?
All right. Well, we didn't go over our present policies. Instead, we chose to focus on all of the press releases, the updates to our current policies. And we went through them one by one, looking to see if there was anything that we needed to get questions answered on. And we did have, how many, was it 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think 3 were referred.
Three that we do need some further clarification. So, Darcy, you're going to be getting that. You probably already did, yeah.
she did.
And the rest of them fell right into what we expected to be updated. One in particular that we noted, of course, was the changing of policy talking about the park testing now, rather than what was the old one? ISAT, yes. And this is just a small aside. There's a practice park test, and I asked if I could take it. And I'm wondering if anyone else on the board would like to take this park test with me so we could just prove that we're nowhere near as smart as a 4th grader.
Who will be correcting it?
Yeah,
is my question.
and do we have to publish the results?
Actually, I wasn't so much concerned about the results as I do know that there have been many, many stories about the difficulty of children basically switching midstream to this park standard, and I really wanted to get a better idea of what our students are experiencing so that we can assess the assessment results with the proper head on our shoulders.
I'll take it with you.
All right.
I will.
Okay.
I'll take it.
When is this? You just take it whenever you want?
Well, let's ask Kim.
Well,
I guess I'll figure that out. Miss Stavro took it already, so I'm sure we can. She did fine, didn't you, Tina? Yes.
Well, she's
So,
still in school
I-
too, so that helps.
I will email the board with some possible dates to take the practice test.
That sounds great.
Could be interesting.
No. And that's it for the policy committee review.
Okay, and then our next meeting, we're going to go through section 7.
Yes.
And then we just have one more to do.
Yes.
And then
Do
we'll
you
be
have the
vetting
date
all
for
the
that meeting
others.
set yet or no?
No.
Okay.
Okay. And then the second item under old business is the letter dated November 4, 2014, sent to the Board of Education's Attorney Darcy Crea from Board President David Stachura and Vice President Patricia Gottashevsky. So what we've had here is a problem because David hasn't been here at the same time that this has been put on the agenda. And I talked to him about it, and he asked me not to respond to the questions, but what I suggested to him is that I just put the reasoning out there so that you could maybe try to understand where that letter was generated from. And the whole idea was that it appeared, and I don't know if this is true, and that's why we asked the attorney that, it appeared that the attorney was directing the board, strongly urging the board to convene a special meeting about a family in the district. And since 3 of us couldn't attend, the purpose of that meeting, the purpose of the letter rather, was to simply ask to have that rescheduled. And the reasoning behind it was laid out in the front part of the letter. So if it wasn't clear to people, hopefully that will make it clearer. That's where the letter came from. So we're not going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about it. You can talk about it. But
Absolutely.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore because Dave is not here.
Okay. Thank you for the reason why the letter was written. Unfortunately, there was so much to that letter that is not part of the reasoning. It doesn't even come to 1/10 of the reason or the parts of those letters that I want the questions answered. I understand you won't answer with Dave not here. Is there a thought to answer those questions that I presented that are part of the minutes that I believe Karen or Kathy, somebody sent you in writing? Is there any thought to possibly answering those questions?
I think I said yes as soon as Dave is here. And I'm here. The 2 of us should be here. Because by policy, we were authorized to speak to the attorney. But instead of calling her, we asked her through a letter.
And asked her not to tell the rest of us.
Well, at that point,
I
it
don't
was
think
simply,
there's a policy saying that.
at that point, it was simply for information. If you read the letter,
I did,
at the end of the
multiple
letter,
times.
it said, if there's anything that isn't true, please advise. Because that's what we were trying to get to, is the truth.
And please do
But
not let the rest of the
specifically-
board know about this
Well,
letter.
it wasn't open for discussion.
I'm sorry, anything,
Excuse me, we're done with the public comments. Would you please sit down and stop talking? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sit down and be quiet while we're having our meeting. Thank you. Sit down and be quiet so we can conduct a meeting, please, because we've had our public participation. If you'd like to step out, if you need to vent, please step out. If you can be here while we're conducting our business, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, so anything else?
so, well, yeah, I mean, in essence, just so that we understand, there is no private business.
It wasn't
With-
business.
Well, it is, because we
If
had
you're
to pay our
requesting
lawyer.
to change the meeting, that is business.
If you're
You
requesting,
people asked to have a meeting apparently through the attorney.
No.
We were asking to just have the meeting when we could be there. That was it. It
this
wasn't
letter came
an
out after the
emergency.
meeting,
That's
Pat?
what we were trying to determine. Where's the emergency? So now when Dave gets back, we'll have a fuller discussion.
Pat, just so that everybody understands, there is no private business. You have no more
Exactly.
voice than the rest of us.
Exactly.
So
I'm not
telling
arguing
our
that
lawyer,
point.
telling our lawyer not to tell the rest of us,
I said it
that
wasn't
was
open for
dishonest.
discussion.
That was very, very dishonest.
No, it wasn't dishonest.
Extremely dishonest.
I disagree.
Well, so now, as we have this discussion, you will know we don't do that. We're all one voice. There is no leadership team
Clearly,
on this board.
we disagree
So
on many
basically-
things, Mrs. Tasecki.
Oh, absolutely. But there is no leadership team on this board, so what you know, we should all know. And basically,
And
this
when,
letter.
if she had ever responded to me, you would have all known.
No,
But
I
she
believe
did
the
not.
bottom of the letter said not to tell any of us.
No, I just didn't think it was.
My
at that-
business?
at
Did you not
that-
think it was my business?
At that point in time, it didn't seem to be an appropriate
It wasn't my business.
piece
What you're
to
saying is
discuss.
it wasn't none of my business.
Well, now you're gonna be talking to yourself, because I'm not
wasn't
I'm
any
not
of
gonna
my
argue
business.
with you. I'm not.
Oh, I'm not gonna argue with you either. I just wanna know when you think we'll get the answers to my questions that are part of these minutes.
Maybe next month?
Maybe?
I don't know.
Well, we'll wait till next month.
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. You have no business talking now. Mhm.
What you've done by writing a letter behind everybody's back is
Please
not
stop
just
talking.
wrong, it's illegal.
Please, please,
what? Please
please,
what?
please stop talking. It's not your turn now. You had your turn.
Well, I guess it's still my
I
turn.
should be able to stand up and say, you need to represent properly.
You're being disruptive. Please, stop.
No, she's kind of telling the truth.
She's just telling the
She's
truth.
being disruptive.
She's telling the truth.
Well, it's still my turn, so
Yeah,
the
go
way you
ahead.
are governing is incorrect, if you think you're governing. She's absolutely correct. What you did was absolutely wrong. What Dave did was absolutely wrong. I'm still not certain Dave wrote it, but you can't do it. I'm
Okay.
just telling you right now, you can't do it.
Thank you.
You can't do it anymore. What
Thank
she
you.
said is right. You are here to represent everybody sitting in this room, not yourself and not Dave. Everybody in this room, not just yourself.
Thank you.
So you don't think? Thank you. I could keep talking.
You get 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I get as much as I want.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
no,
the
you
public
shut down
session.
Dave.
Well, he was in public session. He was standing up there as a public member, not as a board
Well,
member.
we do
I could
have
sit
other
here and
business.
ramble all
We do
night.
have other business to
Yeah,
discuss.
but you know what? I want to keep talking about this. I don't agree with what you did. I think what you did was extremely wrong. I think what you just did to one of our parents is extremely wrong.
She was out of order.
I don't know. I think she was correct. I think she was telling the truth.
Well, there's a
think you
time
didn't
and a
wanna hear
place,
it.
and this isn't it.
I think you
Why,
didn't
we're at
want
a
to hear
board
it.
meeting.
There's public participation.
You know what?
She
I would
had
like
an
to put on the
opportunity to
agenda
talk then.
That we bring our second participation back.
Okay.
We tried that.
It would give her a chance to come up and speak again later after this discussion. So I'd like to put on the agenda that we put that back.
I think I tried that, 2 meetings ago?
I think we'll try it again.
Okay. Since Dave was the one that initiated to begin with.
And that would have given Diane a place to speak. Okay.
Yes, as opposed to disrupting the meeting.
I can understand Diana's frustration, though,
She's
because
very frustrated.
we've been waiting for answers to these questions. Quite frankly, the tone of the letter shows a startling lack of respect for both fellow board members and the
public.
idea of fair governance. And I'm a little bit frustrated over the lack of response as well.
Well, I'm also frustrated by the lack of response that I got from the attorney, but I'm not going to vent in front of the board about it.
Pat, that's, I'm gonna have to correct you, it's Darcy Correa, and the board's counsel, I did respond to you
Yes.
on November 5th. The day after you wrote the letter, you got a response from me in writing. It was sent to the full board. So what you've stated is incorrect.
Could you have just told me and then
She did.
shared all
No,
of
no, hold
that
on.
with the board?
She did tell you.
I did tell you,
And what did you say?
I drafted you a response, and if you want, we can make that a public, I think what we should do is make that response a public document. It is a public document.
Yes,
course.
please.
And it should be shared with the public so that they can see the response also. But
I was just
that-
gonna read it. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's, the thing is that I want you guys to be able to conduct your business. It's important to me that this board be able to do what you've been elected to do, and when we get mired down in situations, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't spend time on this, because obviously the board is gonna spend time on this and they want those questions answered. And I think that it would behoove you and Dave to come up with answers to those questions so that we can get past this issue and move forward, and
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's.
So when he is here and I am here, we will move forward on that.
Have you given any thought to preparing a statement or answers to the questions, outside of the meeting, or do you want to answer them verbally inside the meeting? Is that what you're thinking? You're
I
not
can't
gonna-
speak for Dave,
All right.
and so maybe when the two of us are
Yeah,
here.
what about you?
Well, I'm still
So-
thinking
no,
about it.
It's fair. All right, so my response was written to you on Wednesday, November 5th at 2:12 p.m. And God help me, if you print it out, it's a 1.5-page email response. And it had 8 paragraphs. And I indicated, I responded to almost every issue that you raised in that 3-page letter to me. I answered them in 8 points. So just to be clear, there was a response sent to you. I think we should make that public so that people can understand the full flush of it. So there was your letter, there was my response where I notified all 7 board members that you had written. You did ask me specifically to keep it confidential, and you told me not to share it with the superintendent, and you asked me not to share it with the board.
Yes, it wasn't a point of discussion for them. It was the board president and vice president asking you for advice to make sure that we understood what the whole sense of this was. Why are we calling a special meeting? That is what was not clear to us. And it was not clear to us why you were directing it rather than having board members ask for the special meeting.
The board did ask for the special meeting.
Well, that isn't the way I understood it. So that's why we were asking for clarification.
And I explained to you, Pat, that your statement, your PS was specifically that this note is sent as a confidential document to you, meaning me, from the president and vice president. It is not intended to serve as a discussion between you and the superintendent or other members of the district. Please do not share, but call if we have any significant part of this wrong. As soon as I got that, as you know, I immediately sent it to all 7 board members. I represent the full board. I do not represent individual members. I do not represent you or Dave. I represent all 7 of you.
Thank you.
That's
I
how it
agree.
works.
I agree.
And I explained that to you, and I explained that, unfortunately, that I would not keep anything confidential. So if I get a communication from Tina, or I get a communication from John, or I get one from Rich, or any of the board members, it'll always be shared with the 7 of you to the extent it's board business, right? I mean, and I have always done that, and you have my word that that is how this is going to
Yes, thank you. It was simply a request to change the date of the meeting.
It was more than that.
No,
It was absolutely,
it
Pat,
was-
that is,
What does the last paragraph say?
What about the 3
It's
other
about
pages?
changing the date of the
I
meeting
got it.
so that,
I got it. We don't have to reread the
so
letter.
that the entire board could be present, not just the 4 people who apparently agreed with the superintendent.
Pat, the letter goes well beyond that. So it's a 3-page letter, I have it right in front of me, and you go well beyond that. And I am not gonna argue with you, but that is simply,
Fine.
that's just not true. So what?
Well, that's your interpretation. You can't really say that it's not true.
You've got that in there about rescheduling the date. I don't dispute that.
Right, and
But-
that was the point of it.
Well, there's a lot of other points in there, I think, is what. So, but listen,
Well, maybe we'll do this when Dave is here so that his voice can also be heard.
Yeah.
And it's not just the board members, the superintendent, and the board attorney.
Well, Darcy stepped up to
Why?
the podium because I expressed an understanding of the frustration felt by Mrs. Cafaro, and you replied with, I was frustrated with the lack of response from the attorney, and Darcy is now proving that she responded. Maybe she didn't
Right,
respond the
not
way
as
you
I
wanted her to
asked,
respond,
not
but
as
she
I
still
asked.
responded.
Right.
I responded within 24 hours, and the letter that you sent was November 4th, and the
I
special-
think the meeting was scheduled for that time.
It was not. The meeting was scheduled for the evening of November 5th. So you
Right.
sent me the letter you sent 24 hours before that special board meeting
Right.
was held.
And it could have been postponed one day. That was our thinking.
Well, that's not what you suggested in the letter. You did suggest a postponement, but you did not suggest one day. I also was unaware, other than John had indicated that he could not be at that meeting, and you had indicated to me that you could not, but I was unaware that Dave could not be at that meeting, and that was the time that I think he was dealing with other issues, and I completely understood that. But, there was a majority of a quorum. There was a quorum of the board that was available to meet, and I explained that the meeting was going to proceed. You took issue with it, and that's fine, but what I would suggest is that you either, at the next board meeting, because I think the sooner this is addressed, the better, and sounds like your fellow board members want answers to those questions that they posed, and I would suggest that you and Dave work on either written responses, or you can do oral responses, but I would just add, I would suggest that we do that sooner rather than later, so that this isn't a recurring topic.
I would like to add one more point of clarification, that the letter requesting the meeting and several dates proposed went out I think it was the Thursday or Friday before.
Correct,
the
the Friday
5th.
before, yes.
So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days before the meeting for people to express that they could or could not go to the meeting.
That is correct, and I suggested a number of dates, and I said that I know Friday's bad for someone, and I know another date was bad for someone else, but we've got these other dates that we can look at. So it wasn't that we set a date and I basically shoved it down anyone's throat. I said, these are the dates that we're looking at. I'd like feedback, and the only feedback that I got was that day before, and we decided to go forward because we had 4 board members, and that is
And it was
the
already
process.
posted.
It had
The
been
agenda was already posted
Possibly 5. You didn't
48
know.
hours in advance, which is the law.
Correct. We had done a post. That is correct.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
And I just want to point out that it was 4 board members that thought this meeting would be good, which basically, I'm not sure what you meant by the board members and the superintendent, but this was our idea. We agreed with Darcy we needed to meet. It had really nothing to do with the superintendent, so I'm not sure what you meant by that.
Okay.
So that might be another question. What did you mean? Okay? I think I'd like to know that answer too.
Okay. Thank you. All right, now we have new business. Action item number 1 is agreement between Wine Surgai Insurance or Surgi Insurance and Schiller Park School District 81 Health Plan. So I'd like to entertain a motion that Board of Education approve the agreement between Wine Surgi Insurance and Schiller Park School District 81 Health Plan as presented.
I'll move.
Second.
Mary Ann and Rich. Any questions?
Nope.
I have a question. What is it exactly about? It seemed to be very HIPAA related.
This is so that Colleen Trapp can manage and negotiate on our behalf in our health plan. I put that in the board update.
But I haven't seen this.
We do this
on
every
here
year.
before.
We do this every year.
This company.
No, the name, her company's name has changed,
Oh.
but it's
okay.
the same. That's what's different. So that's probably why it looks different.
Thank you.
The company name changed, but it's,
Okay.
for all practical purposes, the same company.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a first and a second. Are we going to call the roll, please?
Yep, as soon as I'm ready, let me know. Flanagan,
Yes.
Yaduszewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. You're just marking Dave absent, right?
Yep.
Okay. Motion passes. Second item, approve attendance and fees for Alliance Leadership Summit. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education approve the attendance and fees for the Alliance Leadership Summit.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Mary Ann Rich. Any questions, comments?
No.
Would you call the roll, please?
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gaddishewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Kiwanis, yes.
Motion passes. Third item, approve renewal of Conica Minolta contract. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education approve the renewal of the Conica Minolta contract as presented.
I'll move.
A second.
Allison, Mary Ann. And the only question I had, I thought it was very impressive, the information that you put in about how much was being shaved off that bill. I think it was a third. And I just wondered if we were able to do that with one company, would it behoove
We
us
did.
to go out for bid on that?
They did. They looked at Xerox.
Would
Was it
you
Xerox?
like to? Okay.
You
Yeah,
could.
that'd be great.
Conica Minolta is our current vendor, as you know.
Mhm.
We also went out to Xerox and asked them to give us a competing quote, which actually caused Conica Minolta to come back to the table with another significant increase in the cost. So, yes, we did that, and it worked out very well for us.
Okay, but one
Thank you.
company.
Two,
We got two
Conica Minolta and Xerox.
All right.
And we do have an
One other.
outstanding working relationship with Conica Minolta. So with that in mind, and given the negotiating that Jim did on our behalf, we felt comfortable presenting this to the board.
That's great. Okay, so now we have to vote.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gaddishewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Kiwanis, yes.
Motion passes. Next section is personnel. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education approve the classified hiring of Jessica Arroyo, paraprofessional at Kennedy School, effective January 20, 2015.
I'll move.
Second.
Is that Mary Ann
Yes.
and Rich? Call the roll, please.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gaddishewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Kiwanis, yes.
Motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education approve certified long-term replacement Jacqueline Hood, social worker at Kennedy School, effective February 2nd, 2015.
I'll move.
Second.
Tina Rich.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gaddishewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Kiwanis, yes.
Motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education approve the certified long-term replacement extensions through the remainder of the 2014-15 school year. Marissa Zaprev, second grade long-term replacement teacher at Kennedy School, and Crystal Eubanks, seventh grade humanities replacement teacher at Lincoln Middle School.
Move.
Rich, I'll second.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gaddishewski.
Yes.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs.
Yes.
Kiwanis, yes.
Motion passes. And I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education accept the resignations of Trista Rachla, a paraprofessional at Kennedy School, effective December 19, 2014, and Aaron Schilling, Chief School Business Official, effective June 30, 2015.
I'll move.
Mary Ann?
I'll second.
Rich?
Flanagan.
Yes. Although I'll give my normal speech of I hate accepting resignations, and this is particularly bad because I really enjoy Aaron's work. That's it.
Gaddishewski.
Yes, and I wish him well in the future.
Kowalski.
Yes.
Dusecki.
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. Next section is our executive session. I'd like to entertain a motion the Board of Education adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, and the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Rich, Mary Ann. Roll.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gaddishewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. It is 8:02. You ready, Tina?
I don't think we need.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion that the Board of Education reconvene to the regular board meeting of January 28, 2015 at 8:42 p.m.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, Tina, Rich.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gaddishewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yep.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. Last item is action on closed session items. I'd like to entertain a motion, the Board of Education approve the principal contract for Melissa Kartzimus at John F. Kennedy School as presented.
I'll move.
I'll second.
It's Mary Ann and Rich.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gaddishewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations. And I'd like to entertain a motion, the Board of Education approve the contract for Peggy King effective February 2nd, 2015 through May 29, 2015 for interim director of special education.
I'll move.
Mary Ann,
I'll second.
Tina.
Okay, Flanagan,
Yes.
Gaddishewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Motion passes. She is not here this evening, correct? And I'd like to entertain a motion, the Board of Education adjourn the regular meeting of the Board of Education on January 28, 2015 at 8:44 p.m.
I move.
I'll second.
Okay, Rich and Tina?
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gaddishewski,
Yes.
Kowalski,
Yes.
Vasecki,
Yes.
Downs,
Yes.
Iwanio, yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Enjoy your evening.
He's gonna call it.
All right, now you keep